It's all about eyesight.
That verse, I felt that way my whole life.
So this is welcome change.
By the way, this is the best time I've ever had on the talk
I'm
show.
cool with all the gods. Gods recognize gods.
The only true currency in this bankrupt world is what you share with someone else when you're uncool.
Welcome back, everybody, to Radio Supernova. Once again, I am your host, Jordan Grenke. I want to thank the wonderful people at RIOT.ca, specifically Dan McNally and Evan. Thank you very much for always helping me with these shows and being, the biggest advocate and the strongest presenter of this material. So thank you very much to RIOT.ca and Durham College as well as DCSI. Ladies and gentlemen, I must have done a lot better in my previous life because I have no idea how I ever got so lucky to be granted the opportunity to speak with my next guest. I actually do know that's a bit of a lie. I was lucky enough to befriend a great person by the name of Jonathan Condren, who is from 2+2 Management. Jonathan Condren and I, our families go way back. And Jonathan has made himself into an independent success on the heels of his amazing ear for music and his awesome eye for talent. I don't see him nearly as often as I'd like to and that I should, but nonetheless, our friendship seems to be standing the test of time. So a big shout out to Jonathan C. Today on the show, we have DELANEY JANE. There's really not much else I can say about her. She is a Juno-nominated singer and songwriter from Toronto. She started her career as more of a featured vocalist and a top-line writer on some of the biggest electronic dance music records of the past decade. She has spent the early part of her career collaborating with huge EDM artists like Tiesto, Dubs, Oliver Hendez, Rez, Adventure Club, Sean Frank, Grand Theft. Those are just to name a few. She has amassed hundreds of millions of streams worldwide. Actually, back in 2017, her collaboration with Tiesto, L'amour toujours, was certified gold and became a European smash anthem. That same year, her collaboration with Dubs and Sean Frank, La La Land, also went gold. This is somebody who had not released an album yet. She was doing her own thing, and everything she touched became awesome. It went gold. She was magic, and she still is. She ended 2017 performing on the main stage with both Tiesto and Dubs at the Ultra Music Festival in Miami. She's done 2 full tours of Asia and India alongside Sean Frank, as well as accompanying the Chainsmokers on a slew of their dates of their sold-out North American Memories Do Not Open arena tour. In 2018, her most recent collaboration with Grand Theft called Easy Go broke top 40 radio in America and top 10 in Canada, also achieving certified gold record sales status. More 2018 highlights? Why not? A collaboration with Flo Rida and Sigala, being nominated for both a Juno and an MMVA for the collaborations with Adventure Club, the song Limitless, and Grand Theft for Easy Go. Later in the year, DELANEY JANE released her first solo single titled Bad Habits. She did it independently on her own label, Dirty Pretty Things. Bad Habits immediately stormed both the sales and radio charts, garnering top 10 on Canadian radio in 2 separate formats, adult contemporary as well as top 40, and became her 4th gold record in 2 years. With the success of Bad Habits, Apple Music, you heard that right, named her one of their top rising artists to watch. Spotify made her the cover of their playlist Hot New Pop Sounds. Not domestically, not nationally, their international playlist Hot New Pop Sounds. And iHeartRadio personally invited DELANEY to perform Bad Habits live at the 2018 Jingle Ball in Toronto alongside the Chainsmokers, Dua Lipa, as well as Khalid. So needless to say, it was very much an honor to talk to Delaney Jane, and I thank her very much, as well as Jonathan, for donating their time and for being so candid and so open in their answers. But before we hit that interview, in case you have not heard this song, which also means you might be living under a rock, here's a song I never get sick of, and I'm happy to hear once more here. Check out Delaney Jane's Top 10 Smash, Bad Habits.
Close the door. Take it off of me. Take it off of me. Clothes on the floor. This misery loves company. Compulsive indulgence from making love out of focus. You'll always be my white rabbit, my favorite bad habit. A rush of blood to my head, my heart beats out of my chest. Bad habits, bad habits. I said never again, but here you are in my bed. Bad habits, bad habits. With you, bad habits, bad habits. With you. We keep secrets, tell white lies, or we chase the highs in each other's eyes. We can't stop this, though we tried. We'll have superpowers in the after hours of the day we die. Compulsive indulgence from making love out of focus. You'll always be my white rabbit, my favorite bad habit. A rush of blood to my head, my heart beats out of my chest. Bad habits, bad habits. I said never again, but here you are in my bed. Bad habits, bad habits. With you, bad habits, bad habits. With you, bad habits, ooh, bad habits. Let's go down, steal kissing when we fall. Let's go down the rabbit hole, dirty pretty things and all. Let's go down the rabbit hole, steal kissing when we fall. Let's go down the rabbit hole, dirty pretty things and all. Compulsive indulgence from making love out of focus. You'll always be my white rabbit, my favorite bad habit. Compulsive indulgence from making love out of focus. You'll always be my white rabbit, my favorite bad habit. Let's go down the rabbit hole, steal a kiss and then we fall. Let's go down the rabbit hole, dirty pretty things and all.
So anyway, thank you very much again for joining us, and I'll just jump right into it. I know everyone's time is precious, so you hit the ground running from a solo artist standpoint with Bad Habits, and I was wondering what the experience was like for your first single, with it just being Delaney Jane, no feature, no guests, it being a gold record.
Man, it's crazy. It's really impossible to know what what's going to happen and what the what the feedback is going to be like. Is one of those things that we knew we had a great song and a great team behind it to push it. But you just never know how it's going to react. And I was overwhelmed by the feedback and, the fans' videos and messages singing along. And then, when we got to top 10 radio, I was just like completely blown away. And when I performed at the Jingle Ball last December, my team actually surprised me with a gold record plaque. Nice. And then I was just in tears. So, I mean, for that being the first one, I just think like, I feel super blessed and really just grateful for the team that I have and for the good music that we've made together.
Yeah, definitely. And although you're a new artist to some people, it wasn't an overnight success. You've been working at this for a number of years.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was probably 5 years ago. My first song, kind of in the EDM world, was signed to Spinnin' Records, and from there it just propelled, one track after the other, collabing with different DJs all over the world, and so it was really interesting coming up in the EDM world because I got to experience that crazy, festival life and just the energy of playing to those kinds of crowds. And so transitioning from that into my kind of solo project has been different. It's a completely different world, kind of in this pop world, but it's special for me because I finally get to tell my own stories. And, I'm not just trying to write to, an EDM track. I get to just like completely be myself and say what I want to say.
Do you have a preference between being sort of like an artist that's featured and doing your own stuff? You just sort of mentioned that you get to kind of tell your own story, but are you used to being like a solo artist now?
Honestly, I have love for both worlds for different reasons. Like I said, like the energy of the EDM world, I love. Like it's so fun being on stage, jumping on top of the decks and like headbanging with everybody. And and then in comparison, getting to just perform my own stuff. It's like the last show I had in Toronto, we had 2 sold out shows at the Drake, and I sang an unreleased ballad, and at the end of the song I looked up and like everybody was crying. So you really get to enjoy 2 different worlds, and I love them both. I love also getting to work with super talented producers and DJs, and I was able to travel the world, see the world through that kind of scene. So yeah, I love them both for different reasons, definitely.
Those back-to-back Drake shows, when they were happening, I recall that the shows had sort of a buzz that isn't often felt. Like they felt like it was a little bit of a combination of like a homecoming and that like once in a lifetime sort of artist breakout showcase. And the result was honestly like a celebration. I feel like even some of the reviews, like the Canadian Beats reviews, and speaking with friends, mutual friends that you and I have, and other people that were at the shows, it was really, really well received. And what was that experience like? This was you were the headliner. The Drake is a premier music venue in this city, a city that you've spent a long time in. And what did it mean to you on a personal level to accomplish back-to-back sold-out nights like that?
Well, first of all, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous, leading up to it. I had like 2 to 3 band practices every week, 6-hour rehearsals. And as the show came together more and more and we would finally be able to run through full sets, it was the best feeling ever. And I started to absolutely love band practice. And I started to get so excited about these shows that, when the first night came and I was walking out on stage for the first moment, like I wasn't as nervous as I thought I was going to be. And you said the word homecoming. It honestly felt kind of like I'm at home here. And, whether people were from Toronto, I know people drove hours to be there. It felt like we were one big family in that room. And, it's really hard to put into words, actually, the feeling, like I'm pretty sure I cried both days on stage, different parts, and, at the end of the shows. And I stuck around to say hi to everybody and give hugs and stuff. But yeah, it was just, that's a show that I will never forget. Cause that was, or at least those 2 shows back to back, because that was a first for me. And I think everybody there will always remember too. It's just a special piece of our history together.
I put on my camouflage. I feel self-sabotage falling off my tongue. Almost faster when I'm drunk, faster when I fall in love. Now I'm kicking up the dirt again, and you just wanna make amends, but I fight like it's dependent on my life. So I sharpen the knife and let the words fly. You deserve better. Guess I should've warned you about my temper. I see red, I see red, I see no yellow, blue, green or violet. All I see is red in my head. I see red, I see red. There's nothing as vibrant or as violet. All I see is red in my head. Red in my, red in my. I see red, I see red. All I see is red in my head. Red in my, red in my. I see red, I see red. All I see is red in my head. I see you waiting for the storm to pass, but you don't know how long it lasts. I'm biting through my lip, thinking someone steers the ship while Delaney takes a trip. Now I'm grabbing at your shirt again, cause I can't control the state I'm in. It's crimson and it's blurry, it's the color of my fury. I can feel the blood boiling. You deserve better. Guess I should've warned you about my temper. I see red, I see red, I see no yellow, blue, green or violet. All I see is red in my head. I see red, I see red. There's nothing as vibrant or as violent. All I see is red in my head. No yellow, blue, green or violet. All I see is red in my head. I see red, I see red. There's nothing as vibrant or as violent. All I see is red in my, red in my. I see red, I see red. All I see is red in my head. Red in my, red in my. I see red, I see red. All I see is red in my head.
At those shows, your longtime friend and producer Sean Frank joined you, and that's where you guys sort of debuted the single Throwback. And today, it is the most added song on Top 40 in the country.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. What was the thought process going into that? Because of all places, it would be the ideal place to launch into this, what's turning into a mega single. And did that start off as just a treat for your fans, or was the intention and behind pushing that song always supposed to start at those shows?
Well, there are a couple of things. Sean was there from like day one of putting together my live show. He helped, musically direct it, and in my heart, I'm like, there's no way I can play a Toronto show without bringing him up. Whether that was us doing a cover together or, something. So it made sense that we do Throwback because that was our new single, and it just having him up there just added something super special because, most people know our history and kind of know that we started together, at least in the electronic dance music world. And he's just shaped so much of who I've become as an artist and what my music has, how my music has evolved as well. So Yeah, I mean, it was definitely special for the fans as it was for me.
That in an era where the music video isn't the focal centerpiece or a marketing campaign for a new single, the video for Throwback, not only is it excellent, it's highly emotive and it perfectly acts as a backdrop, especially for the lyrics of the song. And I was wondering what the experience was like from the planning stages right up until the filming and ultimately the end result of it, what that was like for you.
Mm-hmm. So for that video, we worked with a director who we've actually worked with several times in the past, a good friend of mine, Tyler Hines, and he just has this way of taking a song and digging so much deeper into the emotional side of it, which I love. But also I sometimes hate because he always pulls out the tears from me. But yeah, he had this idea to do, long one take shot and break the third wall, as we say in the movie world, where you bring the audience behind the scenes. And so I think that also made it feel so much more real. And I didn't even expect it to turn out the way it did. When I watched that video today, it still makes me cry. Like, I just won't watch it now because it makes me cry. And it's also really special because you go through the music video and it's full of our friends. My manager's there. A lot of our best friends are included in this video. So as much as it is special, for the song, I will always have an emotional attachment because it's just like, it's such a special piece of, history that we'll be able to watch forever. And we're all involved in.
I couldn't help but wonder what the reaction was like to the video. So I just went right to YouTube and places like that. And the reaction, much to my surprise, was overwhelmingly positive. I mean, I could not believe the amount of positive feedback on a social media platform or on the internet to a video like that. I couldn't find a negative comment for pages and pages of comments.
Man, well, I can't say I've read through a ton of those comments, but I have seen a few, and yeah, I agree. I've definitely experienced some trolling in the past, but on this particular song and this video, yeah, I think it just struck a chord somewhere deep within people where it just, like I said before, it kind of feels super real and authentic and in a way, scary how vulnerable it is.
Yeah, no,
so I
definitely.
think people can really connect to that.
I mean, personally, at the 2-minute and 19-second mark of the video, there's a really special moment for me. And there's a cameo of sorts because I'm not sure how you pulled this off, but the king of machismo, the sultan of swagger, the legend himself appears in one of the most spectacular shirts I've ever seen. And the moment when Jonathan takes the coffee from Sean has to be one of the landmark moments in all of Canadian cinema. And it almost overshadows the emotional climax of the video at the end. And I'm just wondering if you could share a little bit about how that collaboration with Jonathan came to be and what the overall fee was for his appearance in the video.
Oh, man, I love it. Honestly, I think that was kind of a right place, right time. I'm not sure if Tyler, our director, even kind of had John in the treatment. We were all there, and that moment, it's so funny you pointed that out because that's one of our favorite moments too.
It's the best. It honestly is the best.
No lie.
I told myself I was going to keep 10 minutes of perfectly professional journalism, and then I was going to immediately sidetrack into talking about Jonathan.
It's so perfect. He hands the coffee like on the beat, and then Sean like slicks his hair back with his hands.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's flawless.
It's a human moment, but it's like just such a casual thing. And I was wondering, was it a single take? Did he just sneak himself onto set and everybody had to adjust to these long takes? Like, what was? Oh, was it planned?
So once we all got on set, every moment was planned. We probably ran through these full takes. I want to say we did like 20 of them. And so every time John was supposed to be there at that time. But before that day started, I don't think John was in the treatment. So
wow.
So he did, he was playing the part over and over through the day, but it was still spontaneous.
were just kids, hanging in the suburbs, walking on a dream. Blood sister to blood brother. We made a pact, kept it undercover, that we'd never love anyone other. We got lost somewhere, we got lost somehow. Made so many plans that we forgot about. But we can get it back from the lost and found. How about now? How about now?
I'll meet you on the corner with a 48 up east side. Heard there's a party, some good people and some you gave out. Throwback to London after college where we lost our minds. Singing American Boy like it was back in the style. Like it was back in the style. We were just kids, moving to the city, you know how it goes. Sometimes it gets so busy. I'll never forget mixtapes and 5-ball whiskey, crashing on your couch. Damn, you look so pretty. We got lost somewhere, we got lost somehow. Made so many plans that we forgot about. But we can get it back from the lost and found. How about now? How about now? I'll meet you on the corner with a 48 up east side. Heard there's a party, some good people and some UK vibes. Throwback to London after college where we lost our minds. Singing American Boy like it was back in the style. Like it was back in the style.
We got lost somewhere, yeah, we got lost somehow.
Made so many plans we forgot about. But we can get it back from the lost and found. How about now? How about now? I'll meet you on the corner with a 48 up east side. Heard there's a party, some good people and some UK vibes. Throwback to London after college where we lost our minds. Singing American Boy like it was back in style. Like it was back in style. Like it was back in style.
Back to Delaney Jane here. I take the approach on things, and I'm a big believer that today is like, not just like today in general, but overall this era, this time is one of the greatest times to actually be alive. And aside from the headlines and some of the media focus and political views, there's so much information on things like health and exposure to culture and access to information. There's better ways to travel, places to go, more things to experience. And one of the things that makes me a believer that this is the best time to be alive is the quality of music that I have access to. And if you don't mind a step further, the amount of strong, outspoken female artists that are here and now. Icons like Robin and new artists like Halsey, Maggie Rogers, Billie Eilish. The list goes on.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And what I love is that you have a very unique voice, and in the EDM scene, and now as your own brand, I wonder how important it is for you to add to that female pantheon of great artists, as well as to also have your own voice in this time and in this modern day society that we have.
It's a really good point you make, and it's actually really important to me to, always be putting out music that, that doesn't sound like everything else. It's super original. I feel like my team and I, we look at the box in which one would usually make music, and we consciously decide to step far outside of that box so that we do bring something fresh to the table. As much as we want something that's different, we want it to still be real to me. So, we definitely start with a piece of writing that I've made, or we start with some chords, and we really just dive into different sounds. So that's something that I'm really proud of my upcoming album that will be out shortly, is that I feel like every song is super different, and kind of brings something new to the table that you don't hear every day, because as you said, there's so much music getting pumped out on these platforms every single day. So, to stand out, to be heard, to make a difference, and add something to people's lives, you really have to just kind of try something new.
Do you find that it's more of a like an iron sharpens iron situation, or do you feel that it's sort of that you have to sort of keep up with the ever-changing music? I mean, you could hear a surprise release from from I'll just say Maggie Rogers, because it's being played a lot here in the studio, and you'll be in the studio doing something in your zone, and you hear something else, and do you ever think to yourself, oh man, I have to now adjust to this? Or are you very dedicated to what you're doing in that moment, and you kind of shut the outside world out?
Kind of both in a way. If I've already started something and I'm honing in on something, I will definitely just keep polishing and refining that. But I'm constantly pulling inspiration from other artists and from other sounds of, in all genres, really.
Yeah.
It's
And you know what? Like this is a perfect segue, at least in my own mind. But one of my favorite things to follow is your My Life Through Music Spotify playlist, and we not only have I been impressed with your talents just on the surface, but once I was going through that list, I feel like we have and your manager can back this up. He knows me pretty well, and I couldn't believe some of the songs that were on there, and it was almost like you had handpicked them from my own life through music. And even
no way.
I mean, songs like Motorcycle Drive-By aren't a song that every single person will talk about, or even some Pretty Handsome Awkward by The Used isn't kind of came after their apex, and I could walk through the whole thing, but why this was a perfect segue was your influences aren't just what, and I hate to pigeonhole anybody, but don't seem like standard influences. You've got everything from Tupac's greatest hits to some massive emo classics. You've got Cute Without the E, Motorcycle Drive-By, Yellow by Coldplay. And I was just curious how do you find time to blend all those styles? Because you have such an eclectic taste and preference in music.
Man, I appreciate you noticing that. You know, for me, it's all in the details. It always has been. But growing up, I was immersed in all these different genres, from classic rock with my dad to my mom always playing classical music at dinner time. And then my brother, who's 2 years older than me, blasting Tupac and Biggie and Death Cab. And then when I was 14, he started bringing me out to punk rock metal shows. And so I feel like from a very young age, I was just immersed in all these different genres. And so, growing up, I've always been able to appreciate them. But every day, definitely every day of my life, whether I'm in the car or jogging, I put on that playlist and I just have it on shuffle. And it is the best thing in the world for me, because so much of my life has been spent, writing to and listening to dance music, electronic dance music tracks. And as much as I love and appreciate that, I pull inspiration from a lot of more indie music and more underground stuff. I've always loved oh my gosh, the Conor Oberst, Lua, yeah. Why am I forgetting?
Bright Eyes.
Bright Eyes.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. It's very raw and poetic, and I just think if you only surround yourself with one genre or this or that, then not only are you missing out on so much beauty in the world, you're just, how are you going to be influenced? And how is that going to influence your music to just kind of step outside? Obviously, I can't like make music like Tupac, but I can definitely listen to that and appreciate that and take those messages, where he always wanted to change the world, and kind of bring that to my own life.
He said, don't let it go to your head. Girls like you are a dime a dozen. Girls like you are a dime a dozen. He said, your touch overrated. You're a lush and I hate it. But these grass stains on my knees, they won't mean nothing. And all I need to know is that I'm something you'll be missing. Maybe I should hate you for this. Never really did ever quite get that far. Maybe I should hate you for this. Never really did ever quite get that. I'd never lie to you unless I had to. I'd do what I got to. Unless I had to, I'd do what I got to. The truth is you could slit my throat, and with my one last gasping breath I'd apologize for bleeding on your shirt. And all I need to know is that I'm something you'll be missing. Maybe I should hate you for this. Never really did ever quite get that far. Maybe I should hate you for this. Never really did ever quite get that. Cause I'm a wishful thinker with the worst intentions, and this'll be the last chance you get to drop my name. If I'm just bad news, then you're a liar. If I'm just bad news, then you're a liar. If I'm just bad news, then you're a liar. If I'm just you for this, maybe I should hate you for this. Maybe I should hate you for this.
I wonder if that's what makes you so unique and such a, in my opinion, a special female vocal, because you have all these non-standard influences.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely safe to say, and I just feel blessed that this music exists, because I find that you have to dig outside of the commercial stuff, outside of the top 40, to find the best, the most original, and for me it's just the most inspiring. Yeah, like I love that song Feist, Intuition by Feist.
Oh yeah, that's
for example.
That's
oh my
amazing.
Gosh. Yeah.
Incredible song. So speaking of which, because I agree with you wholeheartedly that the more you dig, the better you find, and the deeper you go, the deeper the stuff might have an impact on you once you find it. What are you listening to for inspiration these days? What artists are you into? Who is having a big effect on you now?
Well, it's funny. I mean, you already mentioned Billie Eilish. I definitely love what she's doing. It's raw, it's dark, it's interesting. I love Jessie Reyez. Not only is she also from Toronto, but she's just like telling it like it is. 21 Pilots as well. I love that he's such a wordsmith.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm entranced when I listen to their music. And that also helps inspire my kind of spoken word poetry, which I've really started diving into a lot more. I love Joyner Lucas. And then, like that playlist of mine, My Life Through Music, if I'm just kind of shuffling around on Spotify and I find something new I love, I add it to that. But a lot of the time I'm just kind of back on that playlist listening to my old favorites. and getting inspired from that.
Going forward, you have an album on deck. Things are coming out. What's the future? What does the next 6 months look like for Delaney Jane?
Next 6 months, well, we have a full album rollout. So my plan is to kind of drop a single every week, starting in May, and until the album's out. That way, kind of give everybody time to really, taste the song before I just unleash it all. And then after that, I have some shows coming up this summer. But yeah, I've just really been focusing on the music, and there's just a few more things we got to finish on the album. And before we start the rollout, I've got a Zed's Dead collab coming out as well, which we just premiered at Ultra Music Festival. So yeah, I'm still dipping my feet into the EDM world, but also, obviously focused on the solo stuff, and really looking forward to touring, really looking forward to headbanging and crying with my fans all across the world. So
are we going to expect a tour date announcement following or in unison with the album release?
I hope so. I know that we want to do a couple kind of more intimate shows to debut the album. Obviously, we'll probably do an LA show, a New York show, probably another Toronto show as well, and just hit those major markets. And then after that, hoping for a full Canadian tour.
Sounds fantastic. And listen, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I really appreciate you taking the time and joining us. Everyone's going to have to look out for Delaney Jane in 2019 and early 2020. I hope we will be able to catch up with you closer to the album release. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank your team for helping us set this up, and we look forward to the new single. But right before we go, you're the only artist I know that doesn't have a Wikipedia page.
No way. Somebody's got to get on that.
Yeah, I think we both know who that someone is. Yeah, give your manager a big high five for me. I miss that guy all the time, and he's such a good human being. So all the best to you in 2019. We look forward to seeing you down the road.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
really
Delaney Jane.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
Okay.
Take care.
You too.
Hello, my loneliness. So we meet again. You haven't changed a bit. I'm getting used to it. Remember when I told you I never wanted to speak again? Hello, my loneliness. This time can we be friends? Wake up out of commission. Truth is, I really miss him. Truth is, I know I did this. No, I never listened to all my inhibitions. Instead, I'm burning bridges. Promise this time is different. This time is different. Seeing little pieces of myself, I'm in the dark. Should've listened to the voice inside my heart. Hello, my loneliness. So we meet again. You haven't changed a bit. I'm getting used to it. Remember when I told you I never wanted to speak again? Hello, my loneliness. This time can we be friends? This time can we be friends? This time can we be friends?
Feel me, 2 in the morning. Eyes burning from all the tears you cried. I feel a friendship is forming. You need someone who stays by your side. And I see the way you look when you look in the mirror. Struck with fear, stuck for years, but I'm down for life, so it's up from here. I'll never leave, and if you ever need a level head to help you think, or maybe just to let you be, I'll be that for you. I've seen bad, so babe, I'll never be bad to you. So just relax, I'll glue back the pieces for you. Like
seeing little pieces of myself, I'm in the dark. Should've listened to the voice inside my heart. Hello, my loneliness. So we meet again. You haven't changed a bit. I'm getting used to it. Remember when I told you I never wanted to speak again? Hello, my loneliness. This time can we be friends? This time can we be friends? This time can we be friends? You only see me at my worst.
You know I got you when it hurts.
You only come out when I'm lonely.
Well, maybe this time get to know me.
Hello, my loneliness. So we meet again. You haven't changed a thing. I'm getting used to it. Remember when I told you I never wanted to speak again? Hello, my loneliness. This time can we be friends? This time can we be friends? This time can we be friends? This time can we be friends?